So people are still talking about the level 3 BDSM story 50 Shades of Grey, and it's still really popular, so I figure I might as well give it a proper book review. I don't like it, but not for the usual reasons thrown out about it having bad turns of phrase and being basically porn. While I can forgive certain bad areas of writing if others can hold up, it's pretty much just mediocre all around. And the BDSM parts of the story aren't really in line with the erotic portions to make it actually a BDSM story. Instead, it's more just a vanilla fantasy with BDSM as part of the premise. I imagine it's popular with vanilla people for giving hardcore porn form to themes brought up in Twilight, but it manages to get some things lost in translation and it turns out even more vanilla than Twilight, even with the Red Room of Pain. I suspect E.L. James isn't really into BDSM and is just using it as a theme to make the relationship more interesting in a matter akin to popular romance novels featuring Arabian princes, yet lacking respect for Middle Eastern cultures. I like Twilight. As a feminist, I have some issues with it as an unexamined level 5 BDSM fantasy, but I think it's an enjoyable story for what it is. It's like the feminine form of one of those guy movies with cars and action and hot ladies, instead having the counterparts of a wedding and romance and hot guys. It doesn't have a good plot line, but it plays up the little pieces for the eager fans and it does it very well. Twilight is a good softcore BDSM erotica, despite its Mormon chastity and no self-awareness of its BDSM qualities. Edward is a powerful dominant vampire who takes over the submissive Bella's life after she offers herself to him, and then she loves it when he leaves her with bruises after their first time having sex. It's BDSM even though Stephenie Meyer doesn't really understand BDSM, and that ignorance causes feminist issues. As a piece of erotica, though, it is very successful in its use of constantly building sexual tension throughout the books. And I think the series goes downhill when they finally have sex, and the book becomes dependent on its subpar mythology and interpersonal drama, with Bella's references to now loving sex as the decaying corpse of the sex appeal that once made it great. 50 Shades of Grey tries to do something similar with building sexual tension, but it doesn't establish the characters' dominance and submission in relation to each other the same way Twilight does. 50 Shades of Grey tries to establish Christian as dominant by repeatedly saying he is, instead of showing him acting as a result of that personality trait. And Anna isn't submissive so much as just dependent. Their interactions up to the Red Room of Pain aren't played up as sexually appealing dominant and submissive exchanges, so much as skeletal plot contrivances to move forward their relationship, and are just vanilla as a result of their lack of meaning. In place of actual dom-sub interactions, there are instead just scattered references to BDSM, like Anna trying to brush her hair into submission, or her friend ordering her around like a dominatrix. While it may serve as little teases to make the reader anxious for the actual BDSM part, it's nothing sexy in itself, rendering the chapters building up to the Red Room of Pain mostly pointless. The scene where Christian reveals his secret sexuality through unveiling his Red Room of Pain is a subpar recreation of the meadow scene in Twilight, where Edward confesses his vampiric traits, because unlike in Twilight, the one in the submissive role has little to no interest in pursuing that kind of relationship. While Edward is scary to some degree because he's a vampire with a taste for Bella's blood, this is balanced by Bella's devotion to him. Bella figures out he's a vampire, and then decides pleasing him is worth the risk of him killing her, and she instigates the scene where he displays his powers. She looks past his predator nature and sees the beauty within, and she tells him she knows he won't hurt her because he has a good heart. In contrast, Christian just springs his BDSM nature on Anna without warning by taking her to his playroom and then expects her to be as submissive just like that, thrusting a slave contract at her. Anna isn't nearly as submissive as Bella and just agrees because she wants to be in a relationship with Christian. That is a crappy excuse for a real-world adaptation of Twilight's meadow scene. While Bella's full submission to Edward has some problematic anti-feminist overtones, Anna's reluctant submission has its own host of problems. Christian is too much of a control freak that he comes off as an abuser. While I can accept some irresponsible things in a level 3 fantasy, I think there needs to be an acknowledgement of its unrealism. The level 3 film Secretary works because of over-the-top nods to the viewer that it's a fantasy, and it's okay to laugh at it a bit, while 50 Shades has more of a wholesome pretension to its portrayal of the romance. Christian could work as an over-the-top mastermind, but instead we're supposed to take him seriously as a man who can take care of Anna, and that's where his control freak qualities become creepy. Christian leaves no options. Anna must become a submissive or the relationship is over. As a result, Anna semi-agrees but tries to push the vanilla lifestyle on Christian while he tries to make her more submissive. And right there, the Edward-Bella dynamic dies. Now we've got some other creature that needs to stand on its own, and it fails. Okay, to its credit, there is some nice kinky back and forth between them during contract negotiation and Anna pestering Christian with emails. For the most part, though, the sex scenes are way too dependent on vanilla philosophy about what's enjoyable. There's too much about the characters connecting through orgasms and normal sexual contact, rather than tense interaction that plays with strong emotions, painting beautiful pictures with what most find the antithesis of beauty. It is, in short, a vanilla fantasy with BDSM themes to spice up vanilla sex and add drama. It uses consensual BDSM practice in the way that Arabian princes are used in romance novels to make level 5 fantasies, except with disrespect of BDSM in place of racist overtones. Your typical Arabian prince fantasy has some successful Middle Eastern businessman kidnapping a good Christian white woman to rape as part of a harem, but she manages to civilize him and make him a good monogamous lover. Likewise, we have chaste vanilla woman Anna falling for successful businessman Christian, him revealing a dark kinky side which he forces on Anna, and Anna tries to civilize him into a vanilla lover. It's the same disrespectful formula with different players. For a novel that tries to depict consensual BDSM in a positive or at least neutral light, it really misses the boat when the story delves into Christian psychology. Vanilla people have trouble accepting BDSM mindsets as something reasonable, so there's an assumption that anyone into it must be broken in some way. In Christian's case, he was abused as a child and introduced to BDSM in his teens by an older woman Anna finds creepy. This backstory is included to make Christian more sympathetic, to make his sadism more forgivable, which is the wrong paradigm entirely. His sadism is just how he gets off. If he can find a compatible partner, that's not anything harmful. The only thing to be criticized is the way he acts like a jackass, and that's not something innately connected to dominance as 50 Shades would depict. As Anna tries to cure him by making him more vanilla, something that is in itself offensive, it also then starts up sexist tropes about how the woman has to change her abusive partner, instead of just leaving him. And Christian is abusive. Just calling him a dominant doesn't excuse him. Christian demands she sign a slave contract, gets angry when she tries to negotiate, and then acts as though she signed it anyway. The whole purpose of a slave contract in consensual BDSM is to establish what both parties are willing to do, and negotiation is expected to ensure that it's always completely consensual. Christian violates every stage of that, making him a pathetic excuse for a dominant character. Perhaps the worst part about 50 Shades is that its popularity makes it the primary example of BDSM in the minds of a lot of people. While certainly better than demonizing crap like Hellraiser or The Pet, the pseudo-positive story of 50 Shades makes people associate what kinky people do with the problematic Anna-Christian relationship. This has the double problem of making intelligent moral crusaders think BDSM practices are problematic, as well as pointing questioning kinky people in the wrong direction. It's worth noting, at least, that it's made people start talking about BDSM in an open-minded way. People on talk shows use the book as a springboard for discussing kinky things they like. Though there's a lot wrong with it, it has made BDSM a slightly more comfortable subject, and that is worth something on the path to making BDSM as accepted as vanilla sexuality. I suggest people that are interested in the basic concept of 50 Shades of Grey, with an average young woman who unrealistically becomes the submissive of a handsome rich man who pops out of nowhere, instead check out Carrie's Story by Molly Weatherfield. Writing's a lot better, and the submissive is actually into BDSM. It's still not really my thing, but it's 50 Shades better.